Welcome to Insights into a Soul, the podcast that no one asked for. This is a podcast about life, love, and everything in between. So grab a cup of coffee and relax, and join me as we gain insights into a soul. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Insights into a Soul. I am your host, Torin, and it's been a few weeks. It's a lot going on in life, a lot changing. So, it's been probably 3 weeks or more since I did my last podcast. So I figured it was time to do a new one. I think I mentioned before that it's in the process of getting ready to move. So I have moved and I'm relatively settled in the new place. Life's been crazy just with the state of the world and COVID and all the other stuff going on. I've been working from home and, settled in now and figured it was a good time to kick things up and start again, which has honestly been a challenge for me. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of hard to get motivated to do a podcast, which is funny because when I first started, I was doing one a week and trying to keep that cadence up. So for the longest time, every week I was releasing a podcast, new topics, subjects, had a bunch of different things to talk about, and I still do. Like, I've got a list of topics. I've got a, doc that I keep of ideas as they pop into my head. But I think, with the move, I felt like a weight was lifted off when I first moved, in the first couple of days in the new place. And I felt better, and I still do. I still feel way better. I know this was the right decision, the right course. But being in the new place, all new memories. It's my place. I can kind of, make it my own. My exes, moved into the old house, which is great because now my daughters are back close and I've been able to spend some time with my youngest, who I hadn't seen in almost 7 months. So that's been fantastic. But being in this new place now, my roommate goes to school at night. So, they're gone at 4:00, they leave, and so the nights have been just me. And with that, I think, comes challenges. It's settled into a good phase of life, I think, or moving into a good phase of life where I'm figuring out my future. I guess the loneliness and the reality of that is really starting to settle in sometimes, especially being home alone. I've got the cat, as you can probably hear, running around. I have a cat. His name's Toshi, and he's been great. He has an Instagram, at ToshiCatOfficial. I am not one of those people that post captions in their voice, so don't worry. It's just my cat, and people like the cat, so I'm post things about him. But, I have a cat, so I've got that kind of companion, which is nice. But I think the loneliness of just being here, and especially with COVID still going on, not being able to go out and connect with people or do things or really travel around a lot, it's a challenge. Starting to get into my head some. So last weekend was Father's Day, and it's my first Father's Day without my family, and it didn't really hit me right away. It was something that I hadn't thought about. And it finally kind of hit me at the end of the day that's why I was so down. I got to spend the day with, my youngest, which was amazing. And she even told me that she had so much fun that weekend, which made my heart happy. But, with that, just kind of dealing with everything, I really, to be completely honest, started to struggle with my value and my worth in life. And, those feelings of loneliness and despair. I might look okay on the outside, or some people might be able to tell that I'm struggling. But I've really been wrestling with my purpose in life and my future. I mean, here I am, 37, haven't been able to finish school. I've got a year and a half left on that. I wanted to, I was all in on it. And then everything shifted for me right before I started school. So I canceled school because I'm glad I did. I wouldn't have done well on my grades. But with that, because I had already applied for financial aid and taken some to buy books, even though I returned the books, there's still fees and stuff. So now I've got almost $1,000 in tuition fees that I have to pay because I was technically registered for the class after it started and this stuff. So I can't even start school up again to finish my degree until I pay that off. And who knows when I'll pay that off. I've got, priorities and bills and stuff that I got to take care of first and save up to pay that off. So who knows, 6-7 months maybe before I can get started again. So really just struggling kind of with my future and what I'm going to do. And like, I feel like I've wasted so much money and time on school now that that's never going to amount to anything. And then, the loneliness, not having someone, not having that connection, really realizing that after having someone for 13 years that's there for you all the time, and now you don't have that person, that's a big challenge. That's a hard pill to swallow. And it hits sometimes. It's like, oh man, I'm alone. And we had a conversation recently about hey, are we going to try again? Are we even going to entertain that? And short answer, no. She doesn't believe that it's the best thing, and I don't know if I could really be the best version of myself with her. Nothing negative about each of us. It's just doesn't look like that's the best option, I think, for anyone. So that's a hard conversation to have, but it's a necessary conversation. I think that's the thing, is sometimes we have to have these conversations that are necessary, but we avoid them. And I said that to her. She's like, she didn't respond for a couple days after I texted her, and I kind of messaged her back, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And she apologized because she didn't want to hurt me anymore, because her answer is no, which is fine. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you're not hurting me anymore. I'm a grown up. I can take it. This is a mature conversation, civil conversation that we're having, but it's a conversation that we need to have because we need to sort that out and figure things out. Because if we don't, it's got to come up at some point. I mean, the divorce is going to be finalized here soon. And, these are all conversations we need to have, so that's that. But all of that kind of compounded and led to me really feeling worthless and no value and like I don't matter in the world. Really questioning my existence, my future. The thing that keeps me going is my daughters, being there for them, being available for them and involved in their lives. But the reality of it is, I felt like beyond that, I don't have much else to live for. And not that that's not something good or worth living for, but it's just, you get in your head and you have these times, especially during this social isolation and social distancing, you really start to feel alone and lonely, and the thoughts creep in, especially with the weight of everything that's going on, not only just in the world, the turmoil and stuff like that, but but also just with the personal life. And I debated on giving up the podcast because I'm like, nobody is going to listen to this podcast, and just thinking that it didn't really matter at all. And thinking why do this anymore? Why bother? Looking at giving up on my streaming, my art, just a lot of things, my photography. But just I had to step back and had some good conversations with some friends of mine that I can't give up. And then a few days ago, over the past several days, not even the past few days, my listens, my likes have shot up like crazy. I had like 30 something listens, downloads on the podcast, in a 3-day period. And that blew me away. I hadn't released anything in a few weeks, and people are still downloading, people are still listening. So that tells me that there's an audience out there, and that my voice needs to be heard. My story needs to be heard. And I don't know. I really believe that that I can make a difference, that I can help people, and I don't know how necessarily to pursue that or push forward with things, but I want to. I want to push forward. I want to pursue this endeavor. I think ultimately I do want to get my degree in counseling because I really do want to be a professional counselor and help people in that way. And it's just finding the motivation to do that. So with the move, I've obviously started a new routine, getting into a new routine of things. Working from home, I've got to keep my routine up. Started going back to the gym this week, and that's helped, going for a run and lifting and continuing to lose weight and get in better shape and starting, my diet's not bad, but I'm just adjusting it and just making these changes and trying to figure out ways to connect with people and to further that community that I have. And, I was listening to the Mark Groves podcast, as you know. I'm a fan of Mark Groves and his stuff. And on the episode today, he talked about, redefining social distancing to physical distancing. And, I thought that was an interesting point because, we need social connection. We crave it. We need it. Even those of us that are introverted, that don't like crowds, don't like groups, we still crave social connection. We like to be connected to people. We have our close circle of friends or family. And, I think the beautiful thing is that in the time that we're in, this current age, this state, we have more opportunities and ways now to be connected socially than ever before. Now, unfortunately, that's also a negative because everybody's connected socially and everybody has an opinion, and the negative opinions, for whatever reason, rise to the top, and that's what we see so much of. But if you start to dig, you start to look, and you start to see, you have to look for it. But there is beauty in this world. There is beauty in social connection. You see all the stuff going on, the hate and the negativity. But if you look and you look past that, you look past what the media shows us and look past to the surface to what's underneath, and you start to see these beautiful portraits of people and these stories of people and organizations who are making differences, and not in violent ways, but in peaceful ways that are, changing the dynamics of things, that are connecting and loving on each other and loving on those people that need to be loved. You see organizations that are rising up. You see movements. You see people gathering together behind things like, Black Lives Matter and really joining a common cause, not because it's popular and trendy, but because it's the right thing to do. Because all of us deserve to be treated equally and to be treated with love. And so we're seeing this trend, this change, which is beautiful. So, all that to say, we live in an age where we have Skype, we have Discord, we have Slack, we have, FaceTime, we have all of these different technological mediums to connect in ways like never before and to stay connected. Now, granted, there's something about the connection of physical touch and a hug, and that's a love language, and that's a whole other conversation for another time. But obviously we crave that as well, and we need that. But let's work on redefining social distancing and start calling it physical distancing. Because I think that's more appropriate. We need to physically distance to make sure that the COVID virus doesn't spread, and that we're safe, and that we're taking precautions. The reality is really hit too, because my ex has some medical issues now that if she got COVID, it would be hard for her to recover from it, maybe impossible. So it's really made me more aware of things, and especially being with my daughters, like making sure they're safe and everything. But yeah, all that to say that let's change it from social distancing to physical distancing. We need to physically stay separated and cautious, but socially we don't need to separate. We don't need social distancing. Now, granted, we can't do the social gatherings like we used to. We can't do stuff like that, but we can still connect socially. We can stay connected interpersonally. We can maintain relationships and grow new relationships, and maybe even connect with people that we'd never connected with before in new ways. So let's kind of change that perspective. And so maybe that's my encouragement to you this week on the podcast, is to look for new ways to socially connect. To connect with people that maybe you haven't connected with much, or that you want to connect with more or deeper. And look for ways, some of my friends and I the other week, we did it was for my birthday. So the other week, a couple months ago, we did dinner via Skype, and we all ordered from our favorite place and did takeout, and then jumped on Skype and had dinner together and chatted and, just had that fun connection. I connect because I play video games with some really close friends of mine. And so we're on almost every day for a couple hours, playing games, laughing, talking, doing stuff like that. And so we're finding these new ways to connect, and I challenge you to find ways to connect with people. Step out of your comfort zone of, well, maybe I don't like FaceTime or Skype. Well, try it. Get on a Zoom call with some people, with some friends. My job does these happy hours where we all jump on Zoom, and there's 20 of us on a call. It's a little chaotic, but it's fun. It's people seeing and laughing outside of the work environment, which is such a unique environment right now. But I know I can't be the only one out there that's struggling, that's suffering in a way. I know there's others out there who feel despair, who feel worthlessness, devalued, lonely. Maybe it's because somebody treated you wrong, or because you've lost that connection with people and you haven't been able to fill yourself up the way you need to fill yourself up with that connection. But it's not forever. This eventually, things will change, but you're not alone. You might feel hopeless and you feel like there's no way to talk to you because you're afraid of judgment. You're afraid that people are going to judge you, like, oh, why are you so depressed? Like, we're all in this together. Yeah, I know. We're all struggling. We all are socially isolated. But it doesn't diminish the way you feel. It doesn't mean the way you feel is invalid. Stress, depression, all of that is very real and prevalent. And I think mental health is something we really need to focus on more in this time, but also going forward. We're seeing a lot of things happening in the world right now that if we took better care of people and loved people and mental health, we could create a different, better world for everyone. So if you need someone to talk to, I'm always here. insightsintoasoul@gmail.com. You can find me on all social media, Insights Into a Soul, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Find me there, and let's connect. Let's chat. If you just need someone to listen to, or just to listen to you, I'm available as well. Judgment-free zone. I get it. I understand. It takes something for me to even be able to talk to certain people about things. And these are people that I trust, and it's hard sometimes to bring up these issues. I don't ever want to seem like I'm looking for self-pity, but the reality is there are times when you're struggling, when you hurt, when you cry, when you feel sad, like there's no future or hope. But there is. There's always hope. You got to just look for the beauty in life. And even though you might be getting hit with a 1-2 punch and things are not going well, it's not going to last forever. Lean on your friends, lean on those who care about you, and keep pushing forward. So yeah, that's it for today. Just a quick update, a little dose of reality, and what's been going on in my life, and just kind of like I said, this is a personal journal for me, a blog almost, my personal therapy. So it helps just talking to the microphone and talking to you, the listener. Just knowing that someone out there is listening and relates some way helps me so much. Knowing that I'm not alone in the ways that I feel and the ways that I think, means a ton. So thank you for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Drop a like on the podcast. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Shoot me an email if you have ideas for the podcast or something you think I should talk about or something I should talk about more. I've got some guests lining up right now to do some fun podcasts with and kind of dive into some stuff like creativity and just some other stuff like that. So yeah, I got some fun stuff planned. Gonna get back in a rhythm and figure out what a good routine is. But the podcast is alive and well, and I'm back, and I'm here to stay, and moving forward with the future. I'm going to title this Season 2, I think, because I'm in a new place, new season of life. I feel like episode 20, I think, is the number of this one, so it's Season 2. It's time for a fresh start, and we'll see where things go. But yeah, make sure you share the podcast with your friends, and let someone know this week that you're caring about them and that they're on your mind. Until next time, see you guys. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insights into a Soul. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe and to share it with your friends. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Insights into a Soul, on Instagram @TornH, and if you have suggestions for future episodes or topics, or if you'd like to be on the podcast, contact us, insightsintoasoul@gmail.com.